Hey guys, it's Jayveer with Guardian Tuning Systems on another episode of Dungeon Talks. Today I have with me somebody who's been a fixture in the water polo, sport of water polo. He's a former national athlete. He's currently a coach. He's also on the administrative side of management in the league. And today I'm speaking with.
Jayveer Katwaroo, or Coach J, as most people might know me as.
All right,
Meet you all.
Coach J. Jay, thank you for doing this. It's a pleasure.
Yes.
You've bridged the gap between coach, athlete, and administration. You've seen the sport through many lenses, right?
Yes.
Based on where you sit, how can water polo in Trinidad and Tobago improve?
All right, that's a great question. It's something the administration, have been discussing for a while, and like you said, I'm fairly new to this administrative role, so it's a whole set of new things for me. And besides just the obvious thing with the social media push is getting more schools involved in water polo.
Right.
So between last year and this year, that is what we've been doing. I've been reaching out to different schools in the west side primarily, and that's where the sport is mainly known in the west.
Right.
I'm also aiming to tackle the east. We want more schools in the east, schools in the south. So that's how we can get the sport more involved in Trinidad and Tobago, is reaching out to these schools.
Right. In terms of the infrastructure to facilitate a nationwide approach, is that something that already exists, or is it?
It is difficult because some community pools have been built, but the issue we've been realizing is the pool time. The pools close so early that it's difficult to facilitate an after-school program.
Right.
And yes, there's the Malva community pool, there's the Lavantil, there are a few others, but that pool time is making it difficult for us. If they extend that pool time or even build other infrastructures to facilitate swimming and water polo, I don't want to just say water polo,
right? Because it's just water sports on a whole, right?
I would say water sports on the whole should have a bit more emphasis done on putting those infrastructures in place, because we live on an island, for crying out loud. I think it's important everyone should learn how to swim.
Yeah.
So put those infrastructure in place, get programs done, and look at the vast variety of water sports that we have.
Right. I mean, I think water polo is as you said, it's a sport that's kind of synonymous with the West, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I don't think there exists any clubs outside of Port of Spain or outside of the Western side of yeah. Why do you think that is? Because I mean, we have sports like football and cricket that's kind of nationwide, right? Why do you think water polo is more of a niche aerial thing?
Because it has been considered an upper class sport. Because of that stigma, it was birthed in the west of Trinidad and Tobago, and it was difficult for it to grow. We did have, I believe it was La Hocketa Primary School, participate years ago in the primary schools league, but it fell off. There wasn't infrastructure across on that side, or anyone pushing it as much for it to stay consistent in the east or in, let's say, central or the west. Central or south of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. Okay. So that's on the administrative side of things, right?
Yeah.
From the coaching side of things, using your former athletic brain as well as your coaching brain, what are the factors that go into making a good water polo athlete?
There are many factors. I wouldn't just limit it just to water polo alone. A good athlete on the whole: consistency, discipline, and if I have to get a bit more specific, in nutrition. So those two things I said at first, the broad things, but they trickle down into the other categories I'm going to say. So your nutrition, your general health, your fitness, your strength and conditioning, your endurance, and your coachability as an athlete. Carefully, gonna get a little wet.
That's fine. We at the this is
Bishop's high training. Yeah,
lovely.
So your coachability, athletes need to be coachable.
Yeah,
I've come across a few athletes that when they reach that point of, okay, I'm now starting to grasp the sport, they feel they know better than the coach. And no,
how common is that within? You know what? Before I ask that question, right? So this is something that that has come across in I know in numerous sports, right? But when you have a sport like water polo, where everybody kind of knows everybody, all of the clubs interact with each other, everybody kind of the whole fraternity in a sense, right? are teams actually competitive to make? So, like for a national team, is it kind of given like, all right, these guys are definitely on the team, or is it that there's actually that competition there?
Right. So you will know who the better players within the pool of athletes that we have from the various clubs. But regardless, there is a structure in place where there's a tryouts.
Right.
When with my year with the former head coach Alan Tuofu, his tryouts, everybody used to anticipate that was a big day. It was a Saturday usually at St. Anthony's School. That was a big day. We had to swim 40 25s. The boys had to swim it on 25 seconds. All head up freestyle.
Right.
That was intense.
Yeah.
And you could have how much skill, but if you couldn't make those swim sets, you didn't make the training squad.
Oh.
You make the swim sets, might play a little scrimmage, and you make the training squad. From there, you train for maybe a month or two, and then from there they look at the certain skills, whatever criteria they'll have, and they will knock off from there.
As a coach, would you prefer to coach an athlete who has amazing endurance and amazing fitness, but not very skillful, or really skillful and their fitness is trash?
It's a really good question. It's a great question. Let's go with the first option.
Why?
Cause remind me again.
So really good skill, horrible fitness. Really good fitness, horrible skill.
Honestly, I would take either one, for me personally. But if I had to choose, like I said, the first option, so really good skill but terrible fitness, can get their fitness up easy. That's easy to. Once the athlete is willing to work with us as the coaches, they know, okay, my fitness is down, I need to get this up, and we could work in sync. Yeah, that's not too difficult. Either one is not difficult, but if I had to choose, it would be the first option.
No, so okay, that's your coaching hat. Now we're speaking to JD athletes.
Yeah.
Right? You've been on numerous national teams, and one of the things with smaller sports, I know for a fact is the fun, and even larger sports. I've spoken to, this isn't out yet, but I spoke to a national footballer, and he was telling me, was like, bro, sometimes you gotta pay for your flights. Like, you're not getting 100% funding.
It's
right?
correct, yeah.
How has your experience been as a national water polo player? And I'm going to ask because I know there's definitely something. How can the government or the powers that be, because it's not always on the government, how can the powers that be actually make the outcomes better for the athletes?
Right. Okay, lovely question. And within my experience, we did have to pay money out of pocket. It depends on the tournament. That's from the administrative side of things. I learned that recently, that based on the type of tournament, so the national team would have gone away to a CAC qualifying tournament. That some of them had to pay out of pocket. Some of it was sponsored. Some of it was given from ASA, the governing body for aquatics in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Right? But it wasn't fully covered. Now, I mean, it does pose some challenges for those who don't have the economics, that finances side of things, as stable as other persons in sport.
Yep.
But what I also learned is that if it's like a CAC, actually CAC tournament, that's when Sport TT or TikTok might get involved because of the caliber of the tournament.
Right.
So I somewhat understand that they say they wouldn't want to waste money sending a team to this tournament where it's not as, let's say prestigious in the tournament. They don't perform well. They wasted money. It's a bad investment. So I could somewhat understand that's with the administrative cap. As an athlete, it was frustrating at the time because, we put in all this effort.
Yes.
We're working hard.
Yes.
We're grinding.
Yes.
But we catching our tail to get the money to go across, and then last minute we scramble
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't want this, because I'll probably ask this question on this platform to numerous persons when I think, right?
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm trying to bash the government or make it seem that the government is, or like there are other bodies, and there are sometimes the sport itself could do things to help themselves. However, I'm just talking the reality of what it is. The reality is that depending on your sport, you will be on a national team wearing your country's colors, and you are having to foot your own bill.
Correct.
And the thing about it is, from the athletic side, you are asking these athletes to be disciplined. You are asking them to give 110%. You are asking, most of them are sometimes at the adult level, they are they're adults, right? So they're working, they're sacrificing. Being an athlete on nutritional front, if you really managing your factors and you're really disciplined, it takes some sacrifice from you.
It's a
right?
lot of sacrifice.
Exactly.
It takes a lot.
Yeah. And to know that most of the times you go and do it for free, fine, that's not the problem. But the journey to get there, to get hotels or to get airfare, all of these kind of things.
Transportation when you reach the country. Yeah.
Food while you're there. It's like you have already made the sacrifice as the athlete, and the country that you are representing
It's
isn't
able
even
to help, and it is discouraging,
Yes.
honestly. And
Yes.
I mean, there were so many open national teams I was trading with, and because funding was an issue, it discouraged us, and a lot of the athletes dropped out. I mean, they have families now, like you said, they're working, they have other responsibilities, so they're taking their time out to do this, hoping that okay, yeah, we put in any work, we can go, but
Yeah.
there are setbacks with the funding. It
Yeah.
is very difficult.
And I also look at it from the perspective of youth and keeping them on the straight and narrow. What happens, I feel like, is because obviously everything runs on money. The financial side of things is so important.
Yeah.
People who are less fortunate, right, are kind of, there's like they fall to the wayside, not because they want to,
No.
but because there's just reality. They can't afford to come to training.
Correct.
They can't afford to travel on the teams. And usually, the people, if they can't afford to go to sports and whatever, odds are they may not be able to afford the education to allow themselves to advance beyond the secondary school level.
Yeah.
And then their options, because we know how hard employment is in Trinidad right now, even when you have higher education,
Yeah.
right? So unless you have a really good business idea, which not everybody's business, like that entrepreneurial mindset,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna need to get a job, and most times you're probably not going to get a good job
True.
with just secondary school education. And then what's left to do? You understand? We talk about sport as a beacon to take the youths off of the street and that kind of stuff. And I agree, it's a beautiful model, but we need to be very specific about the things needed to actually make that happen. You know what I mean?
I do.
So I guess, with that in mind, specifically for water polo, what are the tangible things that you are missing right now to bring that to the level?
That is a bit of a thinker for sure. I guess you could say if you want to see the supporters, we want some of the tangible things besides just obviously monetary is important. Um, but I would say the general support is the support from the parents.
Yeah,
Support from the
100%.
parents is important.
100%.
The wider community as well. Once people start to buy into the sport or sports on the whole, it kind of helps drive it even more. We have, again, sport isn't very known for some people. So we introduce it, they're very hesitant. We get a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Until they sit down in a competition in a game and they see the atmosphere, they see the child in the water,
Yeah.
enjoying themselves like, oh wow,
Yeah.
what can I do further? And that's when we start to get interest. And just that general peak of interest is sometimes difficult to get from them. So again, the interest, the support from the parents, the wider community, getting other businesses to understand how important sport is on the whole, why you should buy into sport. Trinidad and Tobago has a pool of potential throughout all sports, not just water polo. And if more companies would say, no, we want to sponsor this team, we want to sponsor that team. I mean, I'm talking loosely. I understand that they will have their books.
Right.
They have their stuff going on.
And then it needs to make monetary sense.
It does. It needs to make monetary sense, obviously, in the long run. But we have so much potential. We do that people could invest in sport, in the youth.
I have a question. Do you think the, how to put it, sport in general in Trinidad and Tobago, do you think these stakeholders currently have a long-sighted approach in terms of where they would sacrifice and they would invest into the sport to grow? Or do you think it's more of a, hey, we have this tournament coming, like prepare for this tournament, and then whatever happen after?
I would like to say that's how it's going so far with the few I've interacted with. Now, I could be wrong.
Right, you can speak from your experience.
Speaking from my experience, that's how it seems so far. But however, the sponsor for the secondary schools and primary schools, the Public Bank, they see the longevity of it. They're one of our long-lasting partners within and sponsors for the tournament, and we are very grateful for them. They come every year. They are very eager, and they see the growth. So an article came out just the other day talking about the primary schools league and the success of the secondary schools league earlier on this year, and I was like, wow, I'm glad they're seeing it and the longevity of it. So I can't speak for, it, but Republic Bank has been wonderful to us
Yeah.
so far.
So one of the things, I guess, from the administrative side of things, obviously, and the good thing is you are young, right? So that would bring, I'm hoping, new ideas. So obviously you are young, and part of growing the sport is the financial side of things.
Yeah.
You can have as much ambition as what it comes down to money,
Yes,
right?
it does.
How do you propose to monetize the sport of water polo in Trinidad and Tobago?
Have to think on that a little bit, right?
That's fine, because I think,
To what extent? When you say monetize it, how what the other
well, in order, all right, so in my opinion, right, in order for a sport to really grow and for people to get behind it, there needs to be enough opportunities for them to buy in, and it needs to be in the demographic that they want to see it in, right? So what's great is that, yeah, I know for a fact you have the primary schools league, you have the secondary schools league, and I'm assuming the primary school league, right, would serve as a feeder to the secondary school league.
Correct, yeah.
The secondary school league would serve as a feeder to maybe the national team, right?
Yes.
But then, is there an adult league for the wider population to buy into?
There isn't, not yet. And funny enough, the chairman Ryan Smith and I were talking about possibly doing a tertiary education league as well. So those who decide to stay in Trinidad who didn't play in water polo, whether it's UTT attending or UE, whatever tertiary education institution you attend, you can still play in it. You could play. You could be a part of it regardless. So that's something we're looking into as well. But to answer the first question, to monetize it, I think it's a bit difficult. I will get back to you sometime. That's something I definitely have to think on a bit more, how best we could monetize the sport of water polo. So I will get back to you on that for sure.
Yeah.
And we will let the public know that answer.
Yeah. I mean, my like I see it with the pro league, right? The pro league. So I think in Trinidad we have football and we have cricket.
Yeah.
Right. Two main sports, right? Now, I'm not too sure about cricket. Don't quote me on this. I'm not sure what I'm saying, that caveat, right?
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that football, there's the teams, and the teams fall under the TTFA, and through sport company and those other entities, players get paid. Now, clubs might be paying players. So there are people in the pro league, right, in Trinidad, who have a professional, who are professional athletes essentially. There are some people who feed their families off of football, right?
Yeah.
And that, I think, is one of the things that would drive that on SSFL, right? So you have the secondary school thing as well, right? But I think, without being in the football space, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, right? But in my personal opinion, I feel like that is what drives football in Trinidad, right? That and football actually being the largest sports in the world, or one of the largest sports in the world, right?
Correct.
So there's also that, right? But we could make sports something like, we have the talent for sure.
We do.
We have the talent is not the problem, right? And there are people, Trinidadians have money. The wealth might not be equally distributed,
Correct, but
we have money.
I like how you said
right?
that. Yeah.
And so I think this could genuinely be a viable option. There are people, I know for a fact, there are people in Trinidad and Tobago who don't even know that water polo exists.
It's true. It is so true. I've gone to different institutions, just happened to mention water polo, and they're like, "What? We have that here in Trinidad?" I spoke to the vice principal of Trinity East, and she was like, "We have that here in Trinidad," and she was so excited. They're one of these schools that are very eager to get involved in water polo in the East Side.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get things started with them.
I have a question. This might be a awkward one, but like, why do you think water sports, primarily, and the basic water sports like swimming and water polo, usually is more for affluent crowd?
Maybe because of the lack of exposure by the rest of those demographics, that it may have a particular niche of people that know about swimming and water polo. I would say it's because of that. It's that lack of exposure that they may have. Now, don't get me wrong. Based on those cultures, they might be living close to a river or a beach or whatever, and they would learn on their own.
Yeah.
But others as well, spread out, they're not exposed to that, or they don't see the benefits in it. Learning how to swim.
Is the sport of swimming an expensive sport.
Oh yes, and that is another thing as well. It's again it all goes back down to funding. Sport is swimming is very expensive.
Well,
And water polo is just as.
so okay, so for me, right, because I'm looking at obviously immediately the what you need, the gear, right? So you need your goggles,
Mhm.
you need your trunks if you're a guy, and like your bathsuit or whatever
Yeah.
if you're a girl, right? And then I guess where the real money actually comes in is paying for tournaments and paying for, on average, I know it obviously would vary, but
Yeah.
what is the cost of participating in a swimming meet or a swim meet or a water polo?
Water polo tournaments I could quicker speak on because
Right,
I
yeah.
competitive side of swimming left that years ago.
Yeah,
But for water polo, let's just say okay, for club level Royal Hill Seals,
yeah.
they go away to the South Florida tournaments every year, and that's around carnival time.
Mhm.
That usually comes up to around 12,000, maybe $9,000
Per person.
Per person. Now you might get some sponsors on board to help bring down those
But it's
costs, but
still thousands of dollars that you have in
yeah,
there.
thousands of dollars, and that includes their
Full kit,
attire,
yeah.
full kit, accommodation, food, transportation, the tournament entrance fees, all those different things. It's usually very expensive.
Yeah. So I think, are you satisfied with where sport is in the country? Now we obviously we have addressed some of the barriers
Yeah,
that
we have.
that currently exist, right? But overall, on a full picture, are you satisfied with where we're at?
No, I think we could always be better. And I don't want us to get comfortable at where we are now because, like I said, there's too much potential in sport in the whole and in swimming that it has to be stopped right here. I think for infrastructure wise, when it comes to rehabilitation of athletes, that's another issue as well. I've heard too many athletes, especially in water polo, get injured because their coaches even did not help them, didn't guide them, and that's yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you're talking it things now,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So in terms of quality, first of all, I'm assuming there are like certifications for coaching, right?
Yeah.
Do most of the coaches or all of the coaches in Trinidad possess those qualifications?
That I'm not too sure, but let me just put this out there. I would have graduated UTT last year, November. I did kinesiology with a specialization in exercise science, so similar fields as you. And my mind was just open with what some of my lecturers were saying that there are a lot of coaches in the industry right now, in the sporting industry, that don't have the education. They have the exposure, they have the experience.
The experience, yes.
But that lack of knowledge on knowing how to take care of their athletes, what is required on the psychological side of things, the mental, the physical, everything. There's so many factors that make up a good athlete that
Yeah.
some coaches do not
have.
possess.
Yep.
And that was causes the downfall of an athlete, unfortunately.
What and this is sometimes the thing of working with older individuals in our sports, right? Or in any field, right?
Yeah.
Of course, experience is one of the greatest teachers. I'm not disputing that, right? But you could be experienced doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen it. I've seen
They
it.
could be experienced doing the wrong thing. And as a young person working with an older person, right? Obviously the experienced person would be like, well, that's how we just do it, whatever. But you're having younger people coming into the space
Yeah.
who are accredited, who also have experiences. It might not be as much,
yeah.
but they take the experience and they combine it with the education,
Sure.
and they make a better product as compared to people who they're coaching the same things that they did as athletes 20-30 years ago. It's the same things they're doing now,
Yeah.
and they're not keeping up with what's going on.
Yeah, the new traditions, the way things are supposed to go correct. And in my ideal world, this is how I see things, that the older generation understand when it's time to,
Hang it up.
hang it up and say, hey, I'm gonna mentor you guys. We are the next generation. Jaden, we are the next generation. If they will be able to say, hey, yeah, we are gonna guide you guys, give you all some of the knowledge that we've had, and you merge it with the knowledge that you
Yeah.
have, and you'll take it from there. That's in my ideal world.
Yeah.
But realistically, that doesn't always happen in certain environments. It doesn't.
And I think, and what happens to, like, if we're being real, sometimes it's people's egos.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Like, and this across the board, regardless of sport, there's just in life, right?
Yeah.
People get to the top of their industry and they believe, well, all right, I'm at the top, so therefore I know everything.
Correct.
I make money in this particular field, so therefore it doesn't matter what my level of knowledge or qualification is, I'm making money, so there's nothing that I really need to improve on, right?
Correct.
But I think you miss out on so much
Yeah.
by not listening
Correct.
to
And I said it earlier on about athletes being coachable. Coaches also need to be
Coaches
coachable.
yes.
Coaches, no matter
Yes.
how experienced you might be, always be open-minded, and you should also be coachable as well. Just last week, I was talking to the head coach, Katwaroo, for Donruss, and he was saying, you're so coachable no matter how much. He's like, he learns as much from the athletes as they learn from him.
Yeah.
And coaches need to understand that all around, no matter what sport and discipline they're in. Be coachable.
I'm glad that you mentioned it because there's definitely no, it's definitely not something that we discuss.
No.
And we always talk about athletes and what they're supposed to do and like the discipline and but like coaches also, because we have usually, it's sort of not always, but it's usually this authoritarian perspective when it comes to coaches and the athletes. I am the coach, this is what I say to do and you must do it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct, yeah.
And that affects athletes in a particular way, right? But you could also be better as a coach because you don't know what you don't know.
Correct. And as coaches as well, I would say this, obviously with boundaries, but build a relationship with your athletes as well. Understand your athlete. Each person is different. Even on the, those who go to the gym, I've heard, some trainers who try to train everybody the same way. That's impossible. Everybody's physiology is different. Every athlete is different.
See my reaction, right?
Yeah. Jaden is a powerlifter. I understand that every athlete is different. You have to treat each athlete a particular way. Yes, you have your broad program, how you run your sessions, but you have to understand your athletes as individuals as well. How to push them, how to motivate them. That's something. Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's something other coaches need to understand, how to properly motivate your athletes. So one thing to just shout and be a dictator.
Right.
But being motivated and understanding when you're seeing your athletes struggling, having a conversation with them, even with their parents as well, and saying, okay, how can I help you? You tell me what you think you need to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I said this in one of my episodes recently, where it's much I always say that an individualized approach to coaching or coaching an individual will always yield better results than coaching in a group, right? Now, you coach a team sport. Are you of that opinion as well?
Read that for me one more time.
Right.
I don't internalize this.
No, you're not fair. I am of the opinion that personalized approaches, right, for an individual would always yield better results than a generalized thing for a group, right?
Yeah.
You coach a team sport, which obviously is a group, right? Are you also of that same opinion?
Yes.
And how do you implement that into your?
It is difficult because again, you will have a general program for everybody, but when you realize that this person might need that one-on-one attention, you make it work. Especially when you work as a team, when you have a coach and staff, it is easy to share the responsibility. I don't know. I guess it becomes so natural. It has become so natural for me to be able to do that. Is I haven't found the words to explain it properly yet because again, you'll have athletes at different levels. Just the other day, I don't know what possessed me to message the athlete and said, I don't think you should quit polo. And she's like, funny enough, I was going on quick because I felt like she hit a plateau. And I was like, hey, what? Don't be scared to ask questions.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with stuff, come and ask us.
Yeah.
I might have athletes who are diabetic, so because some of them on the primary school level have juvenile diabetes,
right.
And we pay close attention, but they act like if they're normal. Other athletes might have ADHD, and that one I'll be able to better shed light on because it was a struggle for me at first. I'm not gonna lie, but understanding who that individual is, because each person that I had that had ADHD were different from the other, and understanding the things that they liked helped me be able to add that into my coaching style. So one is great at math, he's a goalkeeper, so I had to implement a bit of math into the goalkeeping for him to finally understand what I was trying to tell him. So once you understand your athletes, it's easier to make it individual when you're trying to coach that particular athlete. Others who have no problem, they grasp things easily. You could give a broad instruction, but you'll have that one or two that you have to be very specific for, and it's understanding your athlete, talking to the parent as well, getting that relationship with the parent, understanding them to help understand the athlete, and then having that relationship with the athlete as well.
One of the things that like I'm listening to you speak, and one of the things that just like popped into my mind is like, as a coach, yes, perfect your craft,
Yes.
perfect whatever you're doing, yes. But you also need to be a better human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learn to actually communicate. And sometimes because of the way some of us are raised or our past traumas or whatever, we have this, and especially when you're in a power dynamic as a coach,
Yeah.
you tend to be like, well, I perfect, right? Everybody else, but you need to work on who you are to better reach your athletes, because at the end of the day, you're not just teaching them as a coach, you're not just teaching technique.
Yeah.
You need to be able to pull the greatness out of them. And it's not through shouting and belittling and
It's not. And within sport on the whole, being a student athlete for me is probably one of the best things ever. I never like just studying for 10 hours. I don't understand how some people do that.
yeah, me neither.
But as a student athlete or any type of athlete, that is, being involved in sport prepares you for life, honestly. It's again, the factors, the discipline, the consistency, the how to priority management. I don't want to say time management anymore. Someone says priority management.
Yeah.
That is swim, and that teaches, that preps you for life. And I think in sport as well, the hardships that you face, when you hit that plateau, when you realize you need to push some more, it builds you and molds you into an individual, not just with sport, but for life on the whole. When you face those challenges in life outside of sport prepares you for that. I view that also. That's how I see it as well.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think we've covered quite a
lot,
bit,
yeah.
quite a bit.
Honestly, we will probably sit down and talk more.
Yeah. But I guess I want you to give some final words, right? But I want you to give it as an athlete, as a coach, and as somebody from admin. Wear your three hats and
let's
give
wear
some,
three hats.
yeah.
As an athlete, I'm speaking to all the athletes out there. Keep trying. Be consistent. I know it's hard, but you have to try. If you love your sport, stick with it. Ask for assistance from your coaches, from your peers, and from your parents. Listen to your parents. Make sure you get your rest. Make sure you eat properly. There are athletes out there who do not eat properly, and that affects your training. But that's a whole other sleep. That's a whole other conversation.
And sleep, yeah.
As a coach, to all my other coaches out there, no matter what sport, be there for your athletes. You are a role model to a lot of them that you don't even know yet because they may not have voiced it.
Yeah.
Keep educating yourselves. Keep wanting to learn and be better for your athletes. I'm sure a lot of you all doing a great job, so keep that up. And on the administrative side of things, we have to buy into sport more, guys. Swimming, water polo, gymnastics.
Just sports in
on
general.
the whole.
Yeah.
Buy into it more. Because, I mean, if we really about our country, we have that pride, we have to help each other out. We can't be selfish. I'm honestly tired of the selfishness. And I'm still learning the languages. A language completely on the administrative side of things I don't know yet, and I'm learning it. But to all those other corporate people out there, give us a chance. Let me not say it like that. Buy into us. Buy into the sport. Take a peek. Understand what the sport is, no matter what the sport is.
Yeah.
Go to a game, sit down and watch it, get involved in it, understand it better. Don't just, say, okay, I'm giving you money. Get involved.
Yeah.
Get to know the sport that you're sponsoring.
Yeah. And I want to take this time to actually say something about the platform, right?
Yeah.
We try to speak properly. I mean, this is how we speak, right?
Yeah.
But to corporate Trinidad, to the powers that be that will see this eventually. This is us. This is Trinidad.
Yeah.
Forget the flowery language or forget being well spoken or the way that we are tired. There's not about that. Listen to the message. Listen to what is being said. Because so oftentimes I feel like we would look at somebody and we not listening to what they're saying. We look at how they dress.
Correct.
We look at how they carry themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Forget the messenger and listen to the message.
Correct.
So with
Correct.
that, we like to close off.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Jay.
Jaden, thank you so
coming
much.
on.
Of course, guys, I want to say Jaden has always been a big brother of mine since we were in school, and I admire what he's doing now. So, guys, tune in.
Appreciate that, bro.
I'm looking forward to the next episode, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
So, everybody, this has been another episode of Dungeon Talks.
Yes.
And we out. Later.
We're out. Take care.